Starting a freight brokerage is exciting until the phone gets quiet, emails go unanswered, and self-doubt creeps in, right? In the beginning, everything feels possible. You're watching videos, you're learning the business, you're thinking about your broker authority and your bond, your BOC3, your load board, your website, and your business name. You start imagining what life could look like if this idea really works. And I get it. Freight brokerage can be a great business. Low overhead, no trucks to buy, no warehouse needed. You can start from home and you can work with shippers all over the country. And if you build it the right way, one good customer can be worth $10,000 to $100,000 per year in profit. But here's what most beginners are not prepared for: the emotional cycle of starting a business. It's like a roller coaster. Because at some point, the excitement wears off. The phones get quiet, shippers do not respond, your confidence starts to wane. And that's the exact moment where a lot of new brokers make a dangerous mistake. They quit. Then they go find another shiny object so they can feel excited again. That's the big lesson in this video. Because if you don't understand this cycle, you may keep starting over different businesses and never push through the stage where real progress starts. Most entrepreneurs go through a cycle. First, there's an uninformed optimism. That's the exciting stage, right? Everything looks like an opportunity. You see the upside, you see the money potential, you see the freedom. You imagine yourself building something successful, and then reality shows up. That is informed pessimism. You start learning what the business actually requires. You realize finding shippers is harder than you thought. You realize cold calls are uncomfortable. You realize that emails get ignored. And most shippers are not sitting around waiting for a brand new broker to call them. Then comes the crisis point. This is where a lot of people start questioning everything. They wonder if they picked the wrong business. They wonder if the market is too competitive. They wonder if they started too late. They wonder if they should just do something else. But if they keep going, if they learn from their struggles, if they build the skills, they can move into informed optimism. That's where they're no longer naive, but they're also no longer helpless. They know the business takes work, but they also know what to work on. Then over time, they start making meaningful progress. That is the cycle: excitement, reality, doubt, learning, progress. That's the cycle. The problem is that most people quit in the middle. For startup freight brokers, the hard part usually doesn't happen when they're watching videos or learning the basics. The hard part usually happens when they have to do the uncomfortable work. They have to pick up the phone. They have to contact shippers. They have to hear no every day. They have no follow-up. They have to learn how to ask better questions. They have to stop sounding like every other broker. That's when the business starts to feel real. And that's when the doubt starts creeping in. They start saying things like, well, maybe freight brokerage is too saturated. Or maybe I need to wait until the rates get better. Maybe I need better software or a better website. Maybe I need to learn a totally different business. But most of the time, the problem is not freight brokerage. The problem is that they hit the hard part of the cycle and thought the struggle meant they were failing. That's a big mistake. Struggle does not always mean you're failing. Sometimes struggle means you're finally learning that part of the business and what really matters. This is the big teachable moment. A lot of people do not quit because they found something better. They quit because they think they want to get back to that feeling that they had at the beginning. The first stage feels good, right? That first stage, the uninformed optimism, that feels exciting. It feels full of possibilities. It lets you dream about the upside before you have to deal with the hard parts. So what happens? A person starts a freight brokerage. They get excited. They watch some videos. They imagine the income. Then maybe they get their authority. Then reality hits. They struggle to find shippers. They don't get any responses. They hear no, and they start doubting themselves. But instead of pushing through the hard stage, they look for something new. Maybe it's another business model. Maybe it's another side hustle. Maybe it's another course. Maybe it's another software tool. Maybe it's another easy way to make money. And that new thing feels amazing at first, right? Why? Because it puts them back in that uninformed optimism stage. Now they're excited again. Now they can imagine the upside again. Now they feel motivated again. They think this one is different. But then reality shows up again. The new thing gets hard too. Customers do not magically appear. Money doesn't magically fall out of trees. The skill does not magically develop. So they repeat the same cycle. New idea, new excitement, new struggle, new self-doubt, new quit. Right? It's a cycle. That's how people spend years starting over without ever really building anything. And this is why the goal is not to keep finding a new business that never gets hard. The goal is to stop running back to the starting line every time things get uncomfortable. If freight brokerage is a real opportunity, and I believe it is, then the answer is not to chase another shiny object when things get hard. The answer is to build the skill set, learn how to sell, pick a niche, improve your outreach, ask better questions, follow up consistently. Learn how to talk to shippers about problems that they actually care about. Stop saying the same generic shit that every other broker says. Because getting your broker authority is not the finish line. It's not even really the business. The real business starts when you learn how to get customers. That's where many beginners get confused. They think the setup work is the hard part. You know, the LLC and the bond and the authority and the load board and the website. Those things matter, but they're not what makes you money. Customers make you money. Relationships make you money. Solving shipper problems makes you money. Consistent sales activity makes you money. So when the business gets uncomfortable, don't immediately assume you picked the wrong business. Ask a better question. Am I really failing, or am I just avoiding the skill I need to build next? That question can save you years of jumping from one opportunity to the next. Now, I'm not saying you should never quit anything. Sometimes people pick the wrong business. Sometimes a person realizes they don't want to do the work required. That's fair. But there's a big difference between making a thoughtful decision and quitting because you want the excitement back, right? Quitting because you tested the market, learned the facts, and made a clear decision is one thing. Quitting every time the hard part shows up is something else. That's not a strategy. That's a pattern. And that pattern can follow you into everything you do. Freight brokerage, real estate, e-commerce, trucking, coaching, consulting, any business. Every real opportunity eventually requires skill, discipline, patience, and uncomfortable work. So the question is not, can I find something that never gets hard? You cannot. You can't. The better question is the opportunity worth getting good at? And if the answer is yes, then stop looking for easy and start looking for better. Freight brokerage is not easy, but easy is not the goal. Possible is the goal. Profitable is the goal. Learning a skill that can change your income is the goal. So before you quit and chase the next shiny object, ask yourself this: am I really failing, or am I just in the hard part of the cycle? Because there's a big difference. And if you keep starting over every time things get uncomfortable, you may never stay with anything long enough to win. Okay, so listen, if you're serious about becoming a freight broker or freight agent, I put together a free training that walks you through the basics of how the business works and what you should understand before you spend a bunch of money getting started. You can grab the free training using the link in the description. And if this video helped you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. By the way, let me know where you are right now. Are you excited? Are you overwhelmed? Are you stuck? Are you starting to get traction? I read and reply to all the comments, and I would love to hear from you. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.